I was skiing at Stratton Mountain, which is where I actually learned to ski. Been there so many times. I was on a slope I've been on so many times. And I had a really bad fall, and someone saw me fall who happened to be an EMT. So he somehow got to me. I was like off the side of the mountain. He got to me, took my pulse. I had no pulse. Took them 10 minutes to get a pulse back. You will adapt. Like you can adapt to so much more. You'll be able to get through it even if you don't think you can. It's not over till it's over.
Aloha, and welcome to the Sick Burn Podcast, where we explore the bright side to life's darkest moments. Today, we're honored to welcome Rebecca Koltun, a fearless, funny, and inspiring voice whose resilience shines through in every challenge. After a life-changing ski accident left her paralyzed from the neck down, Rebecca has faced her new reality with incredible strength, resilience, and humor. Get ready to laugh, learn, and be inspired as we explore Rebecca's powerful story of resilience, recovery, and humor in the face of the unimaginable. I first saw and came across your profile because of all the hilarious videos that you've been putting out, and it instantly drew me to your profile. And I feel like before we even get to the accident, for everybody who's meeting you for the first time, have you always been a person that uses humor to kind of deal with tough moments?
Yeah, for sure. I've always been like the funny friend or the sarcastic friend, witty type person. And I think it really just came out even more so after my accident.
That's incredible. Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, humor is this powerful tool, and people see it as, just this thing you do, and you're like, they're just funny, but it can actually really be helpful to you as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like for me, I can't always do these fun activities with my friends that they do. They go hiking or skiing or go out at night in the city, and I can't do that. But if I can make them laugh, and like that's such a great joy to me to be able to make people laugh like that.
Yeah, definitely. Do you see yourself kind of as a comedian, or are you just like, I just want to make my friends and people close to me laugh?
That would yeah, just say I just like to make people laugh. I wouldn't say I'm a comedian, although people say I'm a quote sit down comedian, but instead of stand up. But like I think I'm
Okay,
just
that got me. Yeah, that was a good joke.
yeah, I can't even say I made it up because I've seen other people do it, but like I yeah, I wouldn't even call myself a comedian. I'm just being myself, I guess.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's wonderful. I know that you don't really remember a lot about the day of the accident or the accident happening, but could you tell us maybe a little bit from what you remember before that?
Sure. So I was a senior at Binghamton University, so it's in upstate New York. It's a 4-year college, and I was studying Spanish and chemistry, interviewing for medical schools on the pre-med track. And I was planning a ski trip with my friends. That's sort of all I really remember. I remember the night before packing and all that, and then don't remember much after, but I was told that I was skiing at Stratton Mountain, which is where I actually learned to ski. Been there so many times. I was on a slope I've been on so many times. And I had a really bad fall, and someone saw me fall who happened to be an EMT. So he somehow got to me. I was like off the side of the mountain. He got to me, took my pulse. I had no pulse. Took them 10 minutes to get a pulse back. They kept getting it and then losing it. And like it was very hard to stabilize me and like get a
Oh my
pulse consistently.
gosh.
And eventually they were able to get me onto a helicopter, then airlifted me to Dartmouth Hitchcock Hospital. Then I was there in the ICU 17 days. Yeah, I woke up after a few days of being there. They told me I had a spinal cord injury at the C1 C2 junction. So that's the highest point of the spinal cord. It's at the very base of your skull. So that's
Hmm.
where I was injured. And I'd be paralyzed from the neck down and unable to breathe on my own. Then it probably wouldn't change. So,
Oh man.
and then from there, went to rehab.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is such a crazy situation to be in. And it must have been so shocking to you. But do you kind of remember some of your first thoughts after you woke up?
Yeah, it was very like numb at first. I was on a lot of medication. that I was falling asleep a lot during the day. And after a few days of being awake, it sort of set in the gravity of the situation. And I was like, I felt like I was the saddest person in the world. I wasn't really thinking too far into the future. Like, what am I going to do when I get home? I was kind of just thinking, like, my life's over. My best days are behind me.
Yeah.
And it was hard and there was no distractions. Just laying in bed, watching Netflix for like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, not comparing at all, but I just know that, yeah, I mean, that was the same thing for me. Like I couldn't get out of bed and I couldn't move, I couldn't use my hands and it was just like, all right, how do we do this? I think for me, one thing I talk about a lot is like just 1% better. So I'd always tell myself, hey, just make it like one more minute, make it one more night, make it one more day even. What did you start telling yourself in order to just get through that time besides like, I'm just going to distract myself with Netflix? Because it only kind of works, right? Like it doesn't actually
And
keep you distracted.
yeah, I would tell myself I don't really have a choice. Like this happened and now I can really only move forward. Like even when they would turn me on my side, I remember, and it would really hurt for some reason in my
Mm,
head. Then when they would turn me on my side, then I'm like, you don't really have a choice. Like they have to turn you on your side in order
hmm.
to do whatever they're doing. So that's what I kept telling myself, one day at a time, and just like keep moving forward.
Yeah.
But it was, you don't have a choice. That's what I kept saying.
Yeah. It's a tough love, I feel like, to say like, oh, you don't have a choice, which is true. You're right. We have to then accept the situation. I'm like, oh my God. Much like you though, I felt too like, man, I lost everything. I lost my life. I lost my physical ability. I lost my purpose. I lost all those things. But, and I was really beating myself up too. But one thing that I think really helped me was having a lot of like friends and family support. Do you remember, I know your family plays a big part in your life, but do you remember those early days on what your family and friends were telling you?
Yeah, I got a lot of letters to the hospital, a lot of visits from my parents, my brother, and my grandma and my aunt flew in from Florida to come stay at the hospital with me for a few weeks. Yeah, they just kept saying like one day at a time, and you survived, and that's all that matters. We'll figure it out. We'll make it work. We'll do everything we can to give you a good life from here on out. And yeah, a lot of letters from my friends just saying like, I'm the strongest person they know, and so resilient, and they love me, and they're thinking of me. So it helped, seeing all those letters from people and gifts and showing how many people really cared.
Yeah, I love that. That's wonderful. It is funny though for me because I got some of that too, and I was shocked at who was at the hospital and who showed up there. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I haven't seen you in years, or I haven't, worked for you in a long time. But the other thing for me though, and I don't know if you felt this way, was that even though I was getting told all these really nice things, like you're resilient, you got this, you can get through it, I didn't believe it at the time. Like it was really hard for me to just accept that. I was like I hear what they're saying. These are all really nice, but this isn't really like they don't understand. They can't possibly understand what
Hmm.
this feels like, and so they're just kind of saying the things they think they need to say. Did you have that, or were you able to just kind of receive those compliments?
Yeah, I definitely felt that like they don't really know what it's like, and I felt so envious of everybody that visited me too. Like you're here for 2.5 hours with me, and you get to leave and go back to your life, and I'm here, and I'm going to be here, and I'm not going to be getting much better. Then you get to go live in your apartment by yourself and do whatever you get to whatever you want to do. And I
Yeah.
don't have that privilege anymore. So yeah, I was just like angry and like jealous, and yeah, I'm like they don't really get it.
Yeah, I I absolutely hear you. I know very very similarly what that feels like, and I kind of want to start moving into like how did you start getting yourself out of this mindset? Because I think, and I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but this is the way I view it, is that there's so many people in this world who don't even realize how fortunate they are. They're able to use their body in all these amazing ways. They're able to do so much still, but they still kind of focus on the negative and they focus on the things that they can't do or what things that aren't working. And I wonder for you, do you now feel one like you guys should just shut up and get over this because you can do so much and stop complaining. But also, like, where did you start shifting your mindset into a more positive direction?
Once I got to rehab, I felt a little bit better because I was more busy and I was talking to more people. Well, I actually couldn't talk. I was on a ventilator and they said it so that I couldn't speak, but I was mouthing words and some people could understand me. So that helped being able to distract myself with going to occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy. Plus, there was people coming in and out of my room all the time, nurses, doctors, whatever, and like that distraction helped for sure. Being in a different setting, being on the water in Boston, where my rehab was nice,
Yeah.
and so that helped as well.
Did the dogs help with your rehab as well? Like, I feel like I heard a little dog in the background.
Yeah, I think we just got a delivery and now they're barking.
I love that. My dog Leia despises the mailman, so I get it.
But what was the second part of your question?
Yeah, the positive mindset. But one thing I want to ask you before we get there, though, is something you said about was like not being able to talk. So for me, it was so frustrating. I had a trach in my throat too, and I couldn't speak forever. And my lower half wouldn't move at all, but my hands were so bandaged up, I couldn't do anything. So I couldn't point and I couldn't speak. And I still remember, I think it sticks with me to this day, how frustrating it was not to be able to communicate. And yeah, what was that like for you? And what was it like in your mind?
It was so frustrating, and some people could read lips. Like my mom could read my lips, and she could like read my mind. Like she knew what I wanted before I even asked. Like she just knows me so well. And then certain people, like my dad, was so bad at reading lips, and it's hard because we couldn't really communicate.
Yeah,
And
my
like,
dad too. I would get so mad at him. I was like, no, I don't need that. I need the other thing. And I couldn't tell him. I couldn't point. I was just getting so frustrated with him. I love you, Dad. It was just like, he just couldn't figure out what I was trying to say. So anyways, I know exactly what that's like.
yeah, so much frustration there.
Yeah.
And then once I was able to speak again, it was like the world opened up. Like I was able to use my phone with voice control, and I was able to call people by myself and talk to people like anybody. So
Yeah.
that helps a lot.
It does. It does. Were you kind of quick to jump back on your phone and kind of like re-engage? Like, for me, I didn't want my phone because I didn't want to see the outside world in a sense. I didn't really want to communicate with people at that moment. Like, I wasn't emotionally ready for it. When you were able to get access to your phone, was it something you just kind of jumped on right away?
Not really. I didn't use it that much at all. Like I could say before my accident, I was definitely addicted to it, and
Mm,
now I'm not. And I wasn't in the hospital. I would go days without checking it sometimes. And
yeah.
when people were with me, we would go through my texts and respond because that was like something to do, and it was nice to read everything people would say. But I wouldn't go on it very much, and I definitely didn't go on like any social media because yeah, I didn't want to see everything I was missing out on, all the parties and all that. Then when I was injured, it was like towards the end of it was when the vaccine was coming out. So people were starting to go out a lot more, and I was like so jealous.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's kind of a full circle moment back to, I think, the question that I really interrupted you on, but it was, where does the positive mindset start to shift? Like, was there something that you read or that somebody read to you? Or how did you start getting yourself out of this hole that my life is over and I'm never going to be able to do anything great again? I'm never going to have happy days. Like, how did you start shifting?
Oh, right. Yeah, I think it was when I got to rehab and started being distracted with OT, PT, speech, seeing people, talking to people, being in a different setting that wasn't just being in a hospital bed all the time. Especially when I was able to talk and eat again, that really helped
Hmm.
as well.
Yeah. Was there a specific person that you think of when you think of a positive on this shift? I think for me, there was certain nurses that I had that just gave me so much motivation and just like inspiration and just positivity. They're like, trust me, I know it sucks now, but you're gonna get out of here and you're gonna have better days again. I'm like, okay, great. And then I think the other thing for me was my therapist because I was so stuck on what I had lost. I was like, again, I've already talked about purpose, limbs, and all those things. But one thing he said, and I've said this in previous episodes, but it's, what did you gain from this? And for the longest time, I was like, what is he talking about? Gain? I didn't gain anything from this. I lost, I lost, I lost. So is there a certain person or something that you read that was like, all right, this is, this is going to help me? It just gave you a different perspective.
I think a lot of it came from within, but definitely my parents' support in the hospital. They ended up getting an apartment in Boston down the road, and they were visiting me every day. And like my dad said to me, he said, we'll do everything we can to give you a good life. And they've stuck to that and they do everything they can. They sacrifice so much for me, and I'm super appreciative of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, it's just amazing how family shows up for you. And it's like, it is true. You don't get to choose your family, but the people who, just because they love you and they're related to you, that they show up. How does that make you feel about your parents? How did you feel about them before your accident? How did you feel about them right after? And how do you feel about them now?
We had a good relationship before, but we weren't as close as we are now. Like now I live with them full time. We eat dinner together every night. They know my day-to-day activities. We're really like a team. Like we know everything about each other's day and we sort of work through problems together. And I mean, at the time of the accident, it was just like so much chaos and we were really just there for each other, but it was a little bit harder. Like I said, with my dad not being able to read my lips, and there was so much frustration with that. And we were just like with each other so much in the hospital. And we weren't used to being with each other so much that
Yeah,
sometimes I got like frustrated. But
right,
now
right.
we're like really close. And like my brother and I are really close too. But he lives in the city. So like he doesn't see the day to day here. So but we do have a very good relationship as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's perfect. Like your relationships to your parents is very different than your siblings. I can agree with you, though, I definitely bonded closer with my parents, but I think my relationship with my siblings has changed too. There's this overwhelming amount of gratitude for them and with them. What about your brother as well? Like, what did you discover about your brother in this process?
Well, I discovered that he's definitely like a good distraction for me, and that like he's someone who I could like vent to my about my parents to, and he gets it, and like he understands certain things about like our family that necessarily no one else would. So he's like a good outlet for that, and like he's like pretty positive and very like funny, and he was always like a good distraction for me.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, I saw him. You got selected for this incredible TV show.
Yeah, so we were on a TV show called George to the Rescue, where they redo people's homes for various reasons. And so people nominated us. Once they heard of my accident, someone else in my town had actually been on the show as well. And we were fortunate enough to be selected, and they put a beautiful elevator in. They redid my room, which you could see in the background. This all used to be our downstairs den, and now it's all this living space for me. Everything is like voice control to open the blinds, to open the door, to turn on TV, the music. It's really great. The big bathroom with the roll-in shower. So we're fortunate they picked us.
Oh, that's so incredible. What was it like hearing you got selected for this show?
It was such a relief because to be for us to have to pay to redo it, first of all, would have been so expensive and would have not have looked as good as what they did. Like we didn't even know what to do. Like they have way more experience making things accessible than we do.
Yeah.
And it still required like OTs to look at the blueprints, make sure I had enough space, for example, in the elevator for my
Hmm.
wheelchair, things like that. But I mean, they did a perfect job. There's like nothing I would change.
Wow. That's so amazing. It is crazy. I do find for people, like us, but I just think that some things amazing sometimes just kind of pop up out of nowhere. And I think maybe we're blessed in some ways because we just keep moving forward. I don't know. What is your thought process on like good things happening now to you? Do you believe that like God's blessing you? Do you think it's just like, man, how do you receive gifts now?
It depends. If some of it's because of my injury, I'm like, well, I've been through a lot and I'm going to accept this because, I've been through so much and I deserve some sort of like bright light in my life. And so
Hell
I'm
yeah, you do.
going to take it. Whereas beforehand, I would be like feeling guilty or like I
Hmm.
wasn't as good at accepting gifts or help from people, especially. And now I'm like, I'll take it. And I think people like to do nice things as well for me. Like it makes them feel good, it makes me feel good. So it goes both ways. And yeah, I just think I've been through a lot, and I'll take any good things that'll
Yeah.
come my way happily.
Right. I think you deserve it too. I completely hear you. Yeah, I think I've also said this before, but it was always really hard for me to accept help. And it was really hard for me to accept gifts before my accident or like, hey, here, I got this for you. And I would always feel like indebted to them, you know?
Hmm.
And yeah, I think that's a mindset shift as well, you know? And yeah, I agree with you. I think you just deserve it. But I also agree that I think it does bless other people too, to give help or give gifts or to give other things to, you know, somebody in need. Like it feels good. So I know I tried not to be weird about it, but I tried to be able to just kind of accept things a little bit more now, which is definitely a big shift for me.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I agree.
But okay, so again, now taking it way back, I see that you're doing these amazing videos on Instagram and TikTok. How did you start getting into this? How do you start deciding like I'm going to put my journey out there and my story out there, but also like how do you incorporate your humor into these videos? Because some of them are so freaking funny with like the captions and stuff. I freaking love it. So please tell me about all the TikTok and social media journey.
So I started making videos in the hospital just to sort of educate people, like how I go about doing things, like how I drive my chair, how do I paint. People liked that. They liked learning about my life. So then I started making more videos and eventually started incorporating my humor. And I remember the first video that like really went viral. It was a stitch of this guy at the gym. And it said, "There's nothing worse than when your headphones die at the gym." And I stitched it with just a video of me in my
Oh,
power chair in all my glory. And it got 16 million views. I was like, wow, that's
holy
fun.
crap.
So then I kept going with the videos. But if you go way back, when I was in the hospital, nobody had really seen me yet. No one really knew what I looked like in
Yeah.
my power chair and all that. I posted a picture of myself in my chair. I was sitting outside, my sunglasses on, and I made the caption, "Still didn't get COVID," which
Oh
was
my.
true.
That's so good. How, do you think about these captions or did you think about that? Or was it like your family? Was it a team effort? Because that's freaking hilarious.
I thought of it. It was all me.
Yeah, let's go. The comedic bone is in there. That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's just incredible. Do you think like I think this is funny, or do you actually think like other people will probably think this is funny too?
I think people are going to think it's funny, but they're going to be like, I feel bad for laughing at this.
Right. I know. I think that's another thing. When I was in the hospital, I got this really dark sense of humor. And it was one of the only ways I think that I could cope with everything that was going on. I would kind of mess around and say, just kind of pull pranks on the nurses or just say like ridiculous things to my OT person or physical therapist or whatever it was, just because I needed some relief. And the only way I knew how to do it, I guess, in that moment was to kind of just make jokes. And I think my sense of humor has gotten a lot more dark, but I also have heard that's a sign of intelligence. So, what about you? Do you think your sense of
Mhm.
humor, I guess, has gotten a little bit more dark, or you just kind of it's like, yeah, it's the same, but just more range?
Yeah, I think it's definitely gotten more dark. And I think because I'm disabled, like I have the right to sort of make these dark jokes and no one can really fault me for it.
Yeah, I'm just cracking up just because, yeah, I feel like it carries through in all of your posts, but also like I know where you're coming from, you know, because I got some of my fingers amputated and I wear this prosthetic on my hand. I'm always like, yeah, you know, I try to be useful, but I'm not as handy as I am anymore or used to be, you know, like something like that.
Yeah, I
So,
love that.
yeah, I think it's just part of humans, you know, like when I think a situation is so bad, the only thing you can do sometimes is to laugh at it. And yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel about it sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you either laugh or you cry. So pick one.
Right. So, I mean, speaking of that, I mean, there was moments where I was definitely like bawling my eyes out and it was just, I was so low. And now I can look back at them and laugh. I'm like, God, I was so sad or pitiful in that moment. It's kind of funny. Do you ever reflect on moments like that?
I wouldn't say necessarily laugh, but I'm like, wow, I'm a lot stronger now than I
Mm,
was. I can handle a lot more that's like thrown at me now. But
yeah.
when I was in Florida a few weeks ago, my ventilator was run over by a car. And at the time, it was very stressful. And now it's just funny.
Okay, gosh, that's terrifying, right? I mean, how is it attached to your chair? Like, do you need it full time?
I don't need it full time because I ended up getting a surgery where they implanted a diaphragmatic pacer. So
Mm,
they put electrodes in my diaphragm so it contracts at 18 breaths per minute all the time. So I can breathe without the vent. So like I'm not on it right now, which is nice to have the option, but I do use it a lot of the time to help like with certain when I'm out of breath or if I'm talking a lot or I need to project my voice.
hmm.
So at the time I wasn't on it. My mom was unloading the car and someone we thought was pulling forward backed up and ran over and they also ran over another machine of
What?
mine that's even more important than the ventilator called a suction machine. And what it does is it sucks the mucus up out of my lungs through the trach. I'm sure you've
Yep.
experienced that in the hospital.
Yep. I know
And
exactly what that's like.
if that was damaged, we would have had to leave right there because what if I started feeling like there was mucus in my chest? There'd be no way to get it out. We had an extra one at the hotel. So we would have had to leave. But it was fine. The bag was shredded, but we stitched her up and she's good to go.
Oh my gosh. You have such a good outlook on this. Like, one, I'm thinking, who is this person driving this thing? And can we get them a backup camera ASAP? And two, like, it is amazing how you just kind of look at these situations and you power through. What is your idea of resilience? Like when you hear that word and somebody says it about you, how do you receive it and what do you think resilience is?
I think it means that, like you keep moving forward in the face of tragedy and understanding that just because something bad happens doesn't mean your life's over and that there is life after loss.
I think that's wonderful. I think that's a better definition than I could come up with. So that's amazing. It's fantastic. So yeah, I think you've just shared so much of this incredible journey you've been on. I think I seen recently too on a video you went to a clinic that is working with people who are disabled or have spinal cord injuries. What was that clinic like? And yeah, do you think were they showing you options in the future that might work for you?
Yeah, they work on exoskeletons to help people walk and it's something that I would really like to try. My blood pressure is really low. So I think if
Mm.
I stood up I would pass out right away.
Oh, no.
But it's something I could definitely work towards like in physical therapy. So I decided to get in the standing frame last week, which what it is, it's a frame that slowly stands you up and I was able to get pretty much vertical. And they say once you're actually moving your legs, like in the exoskeleton, that your blood pressure does go up a little bit because of the movement. So maybe I could do it in the future. And that'd be cool to like be eye level with people and possibly like feel the sensation of walking. Like I wouldn't feel it in my legs, but like in my head I could feel it and I could see it and to stand up would
Yeah.
be really good for my bones as well. So that's something I'd like to do. Additionally, everyone was just so nice in that
Yeah.
group. Like the physical therapists, the people that worked there, the other people with spinal cord injuries, they're all so easy to talk to and friendly. And they inquired about me. I asked about them. It was just overall such a nice experience and a really good day. And we learned a lot. And I also did the virtual reality, which was cool. So I played games and like I was able to imagine I was on the beach or in the mountains and stuff. And I enjoyed doing that too.
Yeah. That's so cool. That's wonderful. It looked like, some Marvel Iron Man stuff in there. It was pretty awesome. So yeah, I hope they can find something that works for you as well. But like I loved it too. I saw a video. It kind of reminded me of something you said on social media, which is somebody asked you when you're dreaming, did you have any dreams when you were in your coma? Because I had a bunch of dreams, even though I was kind of lucid and in and out.
For those first 3 days, no, I don't remember anything. But I had some pretty weird dreams just throughout my stay at the ICU. And now I even sometimes have strange dreams that, or even dreams that are upsetting because in my dream I'm moving and it feels so real. And I
Yeah.
wake up and I'm like, oh,
Yeah. What what is that feeling like, where yeah, you remember doing something cuz I have this too, like, doing stuff with my hands and that is very challenging now or I can't do. And yeah, it is this huge amount of loss and it's like, oh man, I remember that. I'm sure that feeling's there or do you just appreciate the time you had doing the things you could?
I do get like upset because I feel like it was, like I said, felt so real. And then I wake up and I'm like, that's not the truth. But then I think to myself, like, that's not my story. Like, my story is that I had a spinal cord injury at the highest level. And this is my life now. Like, my life isn't being able to move my arms or my legs, and I had that, now I don't. And yeah, I do appreciate all those days that I had that I got to do all these amazing things, and I'm so glad I did all the things I did. I traveled, I made amazing friends, and got to
Mhm.
go to college and everything. And I'm so grateful that I did have like 21 years of that, and this is my life now, and this is I'm gonna make the most of it now, type of thing.
I love it. Yeah. Is that the dialogue that is going on in your head? Is that kind of the self-talk? Like, could you give us maybe a sample of what you tell yourself in the morning?
Yeah, I sort of tell myself like you survive for a reason and you got to make the most of every day. And I I try to do a lot during the day. I do a little bit of part-time work and I paint and I see friends and I go out every single day and I talk to people on the phone and try to do a lot with my social media, make people laugh. So try to do as much as I can. And when I do get frustrated or upset or even angry that my injury wasn't just a little bit lower so that I could at least breathe without this pacer or maybe move my arms to scratch my nose. Like I tell myself like that's not what happened. It's not your story. This is your story and that's what you have to deal with.
Wow, that is incredible. I mean, really, that's touching, and I think that can relate to so many people. We kind of get to decide our story, even though we don't get to decide everything that happens to us. At least that's what I tell myself, and I love it. I think I could definitely even adopt more of your perspective because I think that's just wonderful.
Thank you. I could probably take some of yours too. 'Cause you seem like a very positive person also. And you get
Yeah.
my humor.
Yeah, I definitely do. Yeah, I think it's all encompassing, and I couldn't have dreamed of what happened to me in a million years. I would have never expected it, but it did happen. And I wake up sometimes and I think, oh gosh, that was a horrible nightmare. And then you wake up and you're like, no, okay, this happened, but all right, how are we going to move through this day? How am I going to stay positive and how am I going to reshape my own story? And I love that. I always say, it's like, I don't want to be known for the worst day of my life. Like I want to be known for everything I did after that. And yeah,
Mhm, well said. Yeah.
yeah. So I just feel like I could relate to you on a lot of levels, and I could tell even more speaking to you now. So 100%. Yeah, I think we're definitely aligned that way.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So you kind of briefly mentioned a little bit of all the things that you're doing now and in the future. And what are some of the things that you want to do now? I know you said you're doing part-time work and you're volunteering at the hospital, but like what are some other things that you're like goals you're setting for yourself and what's some more things that you want to do in the future?
Yeah, a big goal of mine is to have like a stable part-time job. Like right now I do work and I feel like a lot of side hustles. Like I do freelance social media for like a few women, like one of them being a speech therapist, one of them regular therapists, and to help make graphics and post on their social medias and things like that, or edit their videos and put it on TikTok. But it's not like a consistent, 9 to 2 or nine
Right.
to three job. And I do a
Mhm.
little bit of social media for this medical company and I help build their website. I helped a law firm with their website, but something stable would be great. And it's tricky with Medicaid and like losing your benefits. So that's another obstacle. But think there are ways for me to be able to do that. And another big goal of mine is to go to Yosemite. So I was supposed to go on a road trip the summer I spent in the hospital, and I just really want to go and like see the mountains. And I know it's accessible. Every time someone I know goes, they're like, I always look for like accessibility now, and I think it's totally accessible. And you can drive up to the top, and there's wheelchair accessible paths. So I just really really want to go. Like
Yeah,
it's
heck yeah.
and air travel is so difficult, but
Mhm.
I think one day I could do it.
Oh, I know you can. I mean, definitely. You seeing all the other amazing things that you've been able to accomplish. I mean, I didn't go through all the videos, but I went through a lot of them, and you've been to already so many crazy places or incredible places. I have no doubt you can get there as well. But also, you have so many skills. Like you have way more skills than me. So I mean, I think the option for you to have the normal or 9 to 5 or whatever. I like that you said 9 to 2 because I like that kind of schedule. But
Yeah,
I
right.
think you could probably do it. But I also love that you brought up the Medicaid thing because it is tricky, when you become disabled and you still want to be useful and internally you start gaining your zest for life and you want to do more. It's tough between how do I make sure I get my medical taken care of and still be able to contribute out there in the world and do something. So I think that's a thing that a lot of people don't think about, when you get into these bad accidents. So I just appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, it's definitely like a big issue. Like they really cap you at such a low salary of what you're allowed to make without losing your benefits. And like what my nursing care alone costs is millions. Like just because I make a certain amount of money doesn't mean I'd ever, in any world, be able to afford full time nursing. Like the amount of nurses I have per week, like it's outrageous. So
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. But you absolutely deserve all of that. You are working so hard to keep contributing, keep giving back to others, and yeah, I think it's even if you got the full time job, I still believe you deserve it. And yeah, you're just this incredible light.
thank you so much.
No, no problem. So I think this kind of shifts into a few questions that I ask all my guests. Are you ready for that?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's fire away. So the first question is now, what is giving you the most peace?
What gives me the most peace is knowing how many people care about me and would do so much for me because when I think like, what am I gonna do when my parents get older or like, what's gonna happen if this happens? I just know that I have such an army of people behind me that are willing to help in any situation. So that really helps knowing like the amount of support I have from friends, family, and the community.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love it. So it's kind of like you just kind of give gratitude to all of the people that help you, and that kind of helps kind of give you some peace.
Yeah, and just knowing that all that support is there.
That's amazing. Wait, this isn't part of the pre-written questions per se, but like, what is your relationship with mental health? Like, how do you speak to somebody? Do you journal? Do you like, focus on gratitude? What do you think about it?
I do speak to a therapist, and I'm just also really grateful I have so much peace in my mind. Like I'm a very, I'm very like even tempered, and I don't freak out much, and I'm like able to calm myself down. And like when something bad does happen, I do get very worked up. It usually goes away pretty quickly. Like or if like I have a really bad night, for example,
Hmm.
or the next day I'm like, I'm fine. Which I'm like so grateful that I
That's
have like
great.
that peace of mind and
Mhm.
that really helps. But I do speak to someone, and I feel like my social media sort of is my journal. I don't really journal, and sort of wish I did, or at least in the early days in the hospital, I wish I did. But it's hard because everything I say has to be spoken out loud, and I feel like it's different when you say it out loud versus writing it. And also, I feel like I don't have much privacy, so to say certain things out loud, I'm worried who's listening. And like I can type it. I have an adapted device for the computer to type things, but that takes so much longer.
Yeah.
So my TikTok and Instagram are like my digital diary.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And again, you're absolutely killing it out there. I love all of your content. It really is just, it's funny, it's open, it's real. Like I really dig that. But I feel like we got to schedule you in some private time to just kind of say what you need to say out loud or speak it into your phone or computer. So we'll figure that out as we move on, in the future.
Yeah, I like that. Privacy is something I really miss.
Yeah. You're handling everything super incredibly well. All right. So the next question is if somebody was going through their worst moment, their skiing accident, for me, it's a plane crash, they're at their lowest, darkest moment. What's one piece of advice you would give them?
I think I would say that although it seems like there's that like time seems so dark right now and that the best days are behind you, like your future seems so bleak, like you will adapt, like you can adapt to so much more than you think you can. You just sort of haven't been put in that position yet. And you'll be able to get through it even if you don't think you can. Yeah, it's not over till it's over.
Oh, heck yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, all of that, I mean, I'm going to take to heart. And I wish I could have heard that and like received it when I was still in the hospital and everything, but I think that's beautiful, beautifully said and beautiful advice.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so the last thing I got for you is that I saw that you are doing a fundraiser 5K. Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about that, and then anything else that you've been working on that you would like to highlight?
Sure. So with spinal cord injury, the out of pocket expenses are insanely high, and we do a lot of fundraising activities to sort of raise money for me to pay for these things. So something we do is an annual 5K. So we have people come out to this middle school in my town. Then we walk, run, or roll 3 point whatever miles. And it's such a fun activity. There's last year there were over 700 people that came and
Wow.
supported me from the community or from wherever. We have a family flying in from Denver, Virginia, you name it. And my friends from all walks of life come, and it's so much fun. So it's every Memorial Day weekend, the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. So it's May 24th at 8:30 in the morning. And there's virtual participation. So anyone could do it anywhere in the world, which is also really cool. So that's coming up. And then I'm also selling my art at a local art fair. So I'm working on a lot of original paintings to sell there as well. And I'm excited for that because I know a lot of people are going to come out for that. And I like when people, take my art with them and have a piece of me in their home. And it's, a source of inspiration or whatever it may be.
Yeah, we got a lot of wall space in here, so we definitely need one of your paintings up here ASAP. But yeah, I'm gonna have to look there. There, it has its own Instagram and everything, right?
Yeah, I called it made by mouth because I paint with my mouth and it's one word. And
It's
I
awesome.
just really like doing that as a way for me to express myself. It's also an activity where I don't have to like stare at a screen because a lot of things I do just involve a screen because that's what's most accessible for me
Totally.
is technology, but I get
Yeah,
sick of
sorry
it.
about that. Sorry, I'm making you stare at another screen right now.
So it's okay. I love talking to people. I'm so extroverted, so this is great. But yeah, like staring at a screen, not talking to people. So, but I like painting. I play, music or play a book or a podcast, and it's super relaxing.
Oh, I love that. Okay. 100%. We will put the 5K in the show notes. Make sure we'll share it on our social media as well. If I don't know if I'm in town, but if I'm in town, I'm going to join virtually because that sounds so freaking cool. And I definitely need one of your paintings because I saw the Made by Mouth and you are a tremendous artist, not just because you paint with your mouth, but just like for anybody. I don't think I could ever paint those kind of things. Even if I had like a step-by-step instruction, like I don't think I could do it. So your paintings are fantastic. They are amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely would love to send you one and have it there.
All right. Well, we're going to do it. Well, Rebecca, just thank you so much for joining me today. I just love your spirit, your sense of humor, your drive, your just everything about you. Just this incredible light out there. The world is so lucky to have you, and yeah, I just appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure also. And it was really great to talk to you and think we had some really good talking points, some great questions. And
Yes,
yeah,
that's what I aim to do. All right. Well, thank you so much. We will talk to you later. Aloha.
thanks. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Sick Burn Podcast. It was an absolute privilege to have Rebecca Koltun with us, sharing her powerful journey from a devastating accident to a life filled with strength, resilience, and humor. Her story is a reminder that even in the most challenging circumstances, resilience and joy can light the way forward. If you enjoyed our conversation, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who could use a little inspiration. Follow us on social media everywhere at Sick Burn Pod to stay up to date on upcoming episodes, weekly inspiration, and behind the scenes content. This episode was recorded and produced at Voice and Video in beautiful San Diego by Bill Lanzarada, audio engineered by Mickey Dixon, edited by Lizzie Bronson, graphics by Jeff Lee, with special thanks to Rosie Flores. I'm your host and executive producer, Thomas Craig. Join us next time as we continue to explore more incredible stories of overcoming adversity and finding the bright side of life's darkest moments. Aloha.